Hi again, sociology students. I'm Mrs. Koss, and welcome to the second series for Intro to Sociology. And today we're going to learn about theory. So, a theory can be sometimes really confusing to some people because we're used to thinking about society in a certain way. And we've never really been asked to think about it in a different way, usually until we get to college, which is where you're at now. So we're going to I'm going to try to crack open your brains and your way of thinking and try to get you to think about society and why we do things. And we're all going to look at three different theories. So 3 different ways. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this, again, under 10 minutes because we don't have a lot of time. So we're going to talk about how did we come up with sociology? Sociology as a science, because it's ology, so the study of society, is probably one of the newest sciences, right? Whereas physics is the oldest, the study of the laws of matter and the laws of basically all energy. Where sociology is new because we didn't really even think about studying human beings in a way that could be at all scientific. So it's new. But before we get going, I'm going to start with my favorite little video clip here. And I'm going to use...
surprising that the story has captured the attention of our little circle of friends.
Sorry. Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory is great to use in sociology because if you've never seen it before, it's these 4 scientists, engineers and scientists who are more interested in their work than they are in human interaction. So when they do interact with other humans, what they're doing has to be spelled out in very specific terms. So here's a clip of Sheldon, one of the scientists, is trying to figure out how information spreads in friend groups, and they did something called the meme hypothesis, which is essentially how fast do rumors spread amongst friend groups.
Friends, are you familiar with meme theory?
I'm familiar with everything, but go on.
Meme theory suggests that items of gossip are like living things that seek to reproduce, using humans as their host.
I'm no stranger to mimetic epidemiology. At Johnson Elementary School, the phrase "Shelley Cooper's a smelly pooper" spread like wildfire.
I should think so. That's gold.
Your meme hypothesis does intrigue me. How might we examine this more closely?
Do you have any ethical qualms regarding human experimentation?
It's one of the few forms of interaction with people that I don't find repellent.
We need to fabricate a tantalizing piece of gossip.
And a second non-tantalizing piece to use as a control.
Then we'll track its progress through our social group and interpret the results through the competing academic prisms of mimetic theory, algebraic gossip, and epidemiology.
Look at you, getting me to engage in the social sciences. You're a vixen, Amy Farrah Fowler.
Sheldon and I engaged in sexual intercourse. In other news, I'm thinking of starting an herb garden. Mom's the word. Gotta go.
Hey.
Hope you're hungry.
Interesting. A friendly sentiment in this country. Cruel taunt in the Sudan. It's a lesson in context.
Will Amy be joining us for dinner?
Yes, I believe so.
Good, good. Everything okay between you two?
Yes. Why do you ask?
No reason. I was just talking to Raj, and he mentioned what a lovely glow she has these days.
Did he mean as if she'd been out in the sun tending an herb garden without wearing a hat or sunblock?
No. That's not what he meant.
Well, we may never know. As my mother would say, the Asians are an inscrutable folk. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do.
Yeah, you do, you dog, you.
Did you get that?
Every word. Our false gossip meme appears to have reached node lambda.
This is moving faster than we thought.
Agreed. It appears the rate of gossip transmission is proportional to the number of nodes squared.
I must say, Amy, pretending to have intercourse with you has given me a great deal of satisfaction.
Slow down, Sheldon. I'm not quite there yet.
Oh, hey, Amy. Bernadette just texted me. Howard proposed?
Yes, not important. Just stopped by to let you know I'm getting orthotics. Also, I'm carrying Sheldon's baby. Mum's the word.
You're pregnant?
Wow. Is there anything on there about orthotics?
Okay, so as you can see, we're looking at studying how and why people behave the way they do. So let's look at some history here, right? So sociology essentially started right about the time of the Industrial Revolution. Prior to that, people lived in the countrysides. They didn't really care about their neighbors because they didn't really see their neighbors. But it was through the growth of cities where new ideas sort of kind of fell upon each other. Different religions came together, different languages came together, different ideas came together, that they started trying to figure out how people really interact appropriately. So also there was a political change from religion to individual liberty. So if you controlled a mass of people, social control, through this belief in a deity or some sort of a god, that's really easy if everybody believes in that god, right? But it's really, really hard if not everybody believes in the god. So therefore, we have something called politics is born. And our political system is based on the idea that we understand the needs of everybody and everybody's voice is heard. That's really hard to do. Because everybody's so different. So we have so much diversity and variation of that. So we really needed to understand human behavior in a more scientific method, which brings us to science, right? So the French Revolution was about the first time we started to see, like, we want to study people in a scientific way. And if you remember anything about your history classes and anything about the French Revolution, the purpose of it was to not just get rid of the monarchy, but also once the monarchy was gone and their heads were in baskets, you have to rebuild it, right? So you have the opportunity to rebuild society in a perfect way. So if you remember from the French Revolution, they wanted to build what was called like utopian society or the perfect society. Well, it's really hard to build a perfect society because everybody describes things as perfect differently. Like, for example, right now you're watching me giving you this information. Is this the perfect way to deliver this information? I mean, it's kind of good, but it's not for everybody, right? So therefore, it's really hard to create the ideal society. But people thought it could be done based on something called positivism. Positivism is the idea that we can make positive changes in society just by isolating little variables, fixing it using the scientific method, and eureka, our society is more positive. It's a great change. So it's an understanding based on science. And then finally, we also have different issues of gender and race. And the United States was the petri dish of understanding gender and race relations in the United States, or in the world, because never before had established cultures kind of descended upon each other in a very short amount of time. So again, women were looking at saying, hey, listen, I want my rights the same as everybody else. You had different races and ethnic groups all descending on each other at the same time. And through that, we got this study called sociology. Like we looked at how inequality and how conflict can really start changing and manipulating society. So gender and race relations were also at the forefront of creating this theory called sociology. Now, the theories that we're going to talk about are functionalism, social conflict, and symbolic interaction. And unfortunately, they were all just thought of by, old white dudes. Not saying that sociology isn't full of rich theories from different women and different men and different types of people. But these are three foundational theories. And unfortunately, the zeitgeist of the time or the understanding of the time was that the voices of men were heard the loudest. So these are the three foundational theories that we're going to take a look at. If you're looking at a theory, This is what it is. So in our next video, we're going to start looking at, I'm going to break them into 3 different lecture series because sometimes they can get complicated. So sociological theory is a statement of how and why specific facts are related. Like I have a theory that men don't like wearing masks as much as women. That theory might just be that men are more likely to non-conform, perhaps. But then again, maybe that theory is wrong because I know that women rely more heavily on nonverbal communication than men do. So maybe women actually hate wearing masks more than men. But I'm not exactly sure. So maybe my theory or my hypothesis is just that mask wearing is gendered in nature. I don't even know. So instead of coming up with my own basic idea of how I would view this, there's some paradigms or structures. Paradigms are essentially like scaffolding that guides our way of thinking, just like scaffolding guides construction workers, right? How they scale the sides of buildings. So if I feel like mask wearing is functional for the overall operation of society. Like everybody has to do it, otherwise society falls apart. That's one paradigm that I'm using. But if I'm saying wearing masks is favoring one part of society over another part of society, that's a system of inequality. That's a different paradigm maybe I'm thinking of. Or maybe I'm thinking like each individual person views mask wearing differently based upon their own past and their own experiences. Or maybe society itself guides the thinking of how people will or will not wear a mask. Those are all 3 different paradigms that we can use to look at society. And if I've confused you, don't worry, I'll break it up even smaller and easier to understand in the next 3 series of notes. I'm going to end now just so you can kind of take this all in. Okay, thanks. I'll see you next time.